Welcome yet again to another episode of Dreams Denied. With you today is tr.Risper, ready to help you understand Dreams Denied by James Karoga. We are about to get to Act 2 and Scene 1, the first scene under Act 2. But then we relate it to our former episode, what had happened that has brought us to this episode currently. Previously, we saw Governor Mwitu, in a bid to regain his lost popularity, had visited one among the primary schools. He believed that the way to the parents' hearts was through their children. Therefore, he would appeal to the children, and in turn, he would find his way back into the hearts of their parents. And he had invited the media, and we had wondered, will Governor Mwitu be ashamed, or will he manage to ashame his opponents? What happened at the end of it? We saw that Governor Mwitu was likely the one getting ashamed because, in full view of the media, Governor Mwitu had a class that collapsed behind him. And now the newspapers are full of this story. They capture as he is entering his guzzler of a car while a classroom crumbles behind him. As we would anticipate, the media is about to have a field day as they will be busy criticizing the governor. And true to the word, the governor has not been spared. So, Act 2, Scene 1, welcome for the analysis. As this scene unfolds, we see that the governor is lamenting. He is complaining about a caricature of him, and previously he had closed down some paint companies, accusing them of having been the ones fueling the press to paint him in a negative light because the paint companies were the ones selling paint to such companies. And closing these paint companies in Carrara County, had it solved a problem? It seems not. The problem has not been solved because here they are back at it again, and they are painting caricatures of the governor. And whenever there's a caricature, we are talking about satire. They are trying to criticize a behavior that they do not like about the governor. Act 2, Scene 1 basically captures the aftermath of the collapse of the classroom while the governor was in attendance in that particular primary school. And now the governor is conversing with all his three advisors, who are Sadera, Kimbo, as well as Nduki. And their main agenda is how do they dig themselves out of their negative publicity. The milk seems to have spilled, but the governor is still busy trying to get the spilt milk. He is crying over it, and it seems that he wants to get the spilt milk from the floor, which is an unlikelihood. On page 29, the caption under that caricature says, "The governor's mirage projects crumble like the mad classroom behind him as he fails to address his county's most basic needs." Which is actually true. The media has captured exactly as it was. And we are looking at the word mirage. A mirage is something that cannot be realized. It is something almost like an illusion. It is something almost like a dream, something that cannot be realized. And true, his projects, they do not have the blessings of the people. His projects are actually a mirage. And also about the crumbling, we saw the crumbling of the staff room, the crumbling of the classrooms, the crumbling of the classrooms. And another issue that has been captured within that headline, they're saying he is not able to address his county's most basic needs. True. How is it that a county cannot afford lunch for the learners? Food is a basic need. Even a dilapidated classroom, A classroom serves as shelter whenever the learners are in school. Therefore, still true that the governor cannot afford to give his people in the county basic needs. The picture is damaging as it shows his lack of care. He has been juxtaposed, he has been contrasted again, and it brings out the life of the rich people, the discrepancy between the rich and the poor people. While the rich can afford such luxurious cars, guzzlers, a guzzler is one that uses a lot of fuel. These poor people cannot even afford a well-maintained classroom. Therefore, over here we see that the masses are suffering. And the governor is quick to shift blame. And he first of all starts by losing his temper. He begins to shout at Kimbo. And he shifts blame, telling Kimbo that he had not conducted proper research. Had he conducted proper research, he could have known that these students were hostile, therefore they are not going to receive the governor warmly. And Kimbo tells him he shouldn't be shouting at the advisor because he is not the one who has written the news in the newspapers. He is not to be blamed. This idea of the governor shifting blame, he comes out as irresponsible. Irresponsible in that, wasn't he the same person who said he wanted new advisors, those ones who do not question him, those ones who just honor his wishes and do as he has ordered? Now, why is he blaming Kimbo for not having told him not to go to that particular school? Furthermore, the advisors even tried to tell him to carry a magician as a way to appease the young ones, but he said he has it. He knows how he'll do it. Therefore, he didn't even need that magician. Therefore, we see this governor does not listen to anyone. It seems like he has turned tone deaf. And Kimbo, as you're moving on with our Act 2, Scene 1, Kimbo also admits to having undermined the intelligence of the learners. They had not prepared themselves to have met such kind of resistance. And the governor will look at him and understand him as a person who relishes in addressing dim-witted people, or you can even talk about them as ignorant people. Those ones who will simply carry him on the shoulder. They would clap for him no matter what he says. And what shows that he enjoys to address people who are not that clever. In his own admission, he complains, they should have settled for a different school. A school whose learners were meek, a school where the learners subscribe to his deworming ideas, and they also should love playing in the mud. Those are the kind of people the governor is looking forward to govern. He doesn't want people who question. Another thing, we had asked whether the governor will ashame his enemies or whether the governor will be the one to be ashamed, and the answer can be found on page 30. On page 30, the governor admits to having been shamed. He was shamed because he says that he left with an egg on his face. Not just an egg, but a rotten one for that matter. The governor, I can also term him as an escapist. And as an escapist kind of a person is one who tries to resort to other means to avoid reality. And over here we call it escapism. Now, escapism is where you resort to other things to escape the reality. How does he come out as an escapist? When he realizes that he had been ashamed, instead of facing the reality, go back to the drawing board and ask, where did the rain start beating me? The governor instead says he should be given some time where he can sleep properly. He needs sleep to forget how unpopular he is with the people. Another thing we learn at this juncture is that the opposition is regrouping. If the opposition is regrouping, it will be to the disadvantage of the governor. The governor might just find himself not earning a second term in office. To make it worse, some people who are among this opposition that is regrouping are the governor's former advisors. Someone who had been in your close camp, someone who had been in your kitchen cabinet, they must know a lot about the governor. Therefore, they can use the information against the governor. If there's any person who can bring you down, it should be someone who had been earlier close to you. Therefore, they can get a lot of information against you. And this group that has been said to be regrouping, what is their agenda? Their agenda is they are enlightening the masses. The masses need to get enlightened, and the masses getting enlightened, is there any benefit to this? Yes, there are some benefits of getting informed, enlightened, and the advantages include, number one, the masses will be able to engage with governance and community processes. They'll be able to know how their county is running, the community projects that are in place, how are they faring on? They'll be able to know that, so it is an advantage. When they get informed, they can acquire that advantage, ability to engage with governance and community processes. Number two, the masses will also be able to make informed decisions. You remember the last time they failed to elect Sibor? That was an informed decision, but this time they say they'll be better placed in terms of this decision. Number three, how will the information help the masses? Number three, they will be able to hold public institutions to account. All this money that is being thrown about, how has it been used? They'll be holding public institutions to account. And Nduki goes ahead and tells the governor, the best way to regain your lost popularity should be, you should deliver service to the people. Delivery of service to the people is where the governor seems to draw a line. He is not ready to do this. And he shifts blame yet again to civic education. This opposition that is educating the people, they're the one who are making a mistake. That is according to the governor. He doesn't see himself as the problem. He needs to honor promises that had earlier been made. And the governor never accepts defeat. He always comes up with one idea after another. And true to the word, he has a new idea. What is his new idea? The idea is they should fuel vehicles and then traverse the county. And the agenda of traversing or traveling in this through this county, they'll go ahead and tell people, we have remembered our promises to you, and right now we are ready to fulfill the promises. Who is getting fooled over here? Is it suddenly that they have remembered their promises they had made, and suddenly they are ready to honor these promises? To this idea of the governors, Sadera opposes it and says people will judge it as wasteful. How will people understand they are fueling guzzlers and at the same time they can't feed people? They cannot tarmac a road. The people, the citizens will not understand this, and this is according to Sadera. Therefore, he advises the governor against it. But does the governor listen? As I had said earlier, the government seems to be tone deaf. He isn't ready to listen, and he is adamant that his project will continue. And even Kimbo, his ardent supporter, seems to turn against him and agree with the two other advisors. But the governor, being the person who believes in his own abilities, he is adamant to continue with his projects, to carry on with his ideas, that the projects he has introduced will be seen to completion. That is the governor's take. And the governor, he goes yet again with his dreams. He says he had envisioned Westerners coming to Carrara County, skating in the mud, and conducting research about the people who had eaten infected meat, and therefore they developed an immunity. So all these things he's doing, he is doing it to the benefit of the Westerners. And these dreams that the governor is talking about even goes ahead and says, even the fact that he became Karara's governor, he had already foreseen it earlier. A week before the election results were announced, he had already seen that he had carried the day, he had won in that gubernatorial race. Therefore, you see that the governor believes in himself, and also his visions that he says they come to him through dreams. Therefore, your conclusion is as good as mine. The governor is not ready to relent. The governor is not ready to listen to anyone. Now, as you are coming to the end of this Act 2, Scene 1, the question to preempt the next one becomes, the parents he was trying to get through to, will there be any success? What with he has already failed to worm his way back to the children? Will the parents be any different? Thank you for being with me. Let's wait and see in our next episode as we continue to analyze Act 2, Scene 2. Thank you for your time.